All righty. So day 3 of Wellness Week. Today is all about bioindividuality. If you don't know what that means, look it up. Matter of fact, I can look it up for you and just read the definition. Bioindividuality. Let me use Google's. Hold on. Ooh, doing lots of things. Caitlin, are you here? Here we go. Bioindividuality is the idea that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to health and nutrition. Instead, we're all unique in our own biological makeup and requirements. Each person has their own specific nutritive and health needs, as well as routines, practices, and preferences that work for them. Yet we live in a society of people telling us to do what has worked for them, but not knowing your genetic makeup, your story, your experience, the diets of the past, where you are, your state of being today. All right. Caitlin, I'm still looking for you. I don't see your hand. Oh, there you are. Sorry about that. Promote. So today I'm going to be moderating for Caitlin Saunier. She is an Ayurveda specialist, an integrative nutritionist and yoga instructor. She is a mentor for self-healing masters. And short story, Caitlin is the same age as my children. So her and Mallory both. That's huge for me. My kids might not listen to me, but it feels really good that their friends will. You guys, you parents out there know what I'm talking about? All right. So we're going to talk about health and nutrition and daily routines and practices to reach vitality. So let's see. Caitlin, what are you seeing on the screen? Are you seeing like the actual YouTube or are you seeing the...
I am seeing the presentation.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute. And could you just tell us, well, first of all, I wanted to ask everyone, are they enjoying Wellness Week?
Yeah.
What are you getting from it? Let us know in the chat.
I have heard this information a lot and I still hear it different every time. I'm loving it.
Justin says, hello, I am excited for this one. I just started watching. I'll go back and listen to the previous days. Yes, they're all going to lead into the big bang at the end of the week. So if you haven't heard the replays, guys, it's really good. Okay, anyone else? Takeaways. Let us know. What are your takeaways? And what are you excited about? We got a quiet bunch this morning. Maybe I should say, where are you coming from and what is in your cup? I learn something new every time. Perfect. Yes, I'm getting a lot out of mindfulness from this. I'm driving. Okay, get your fingers off of your phone. Let's get going. It's 10:03. I usually just give 3 minutes for takeaways, but I am happy to hear them if you want to go and post them in the More Than Mindset Facebook group. If you're not in the group already, go ahead and request to join. That is the community for the podcast and for all of the free events that we host. Little nuggets I can catch are awesome, even though I've heard it before. Perfect. All right, Caitlin, I'm going to mute myself.
All right. So, hey, y'all, my name is Caitlin Saunier. I'm from Louisiana. Like Kim said, I grew up with her kids. I'm an Ayurveda specialist, an integrative nutritionist, and a yoga instructor. And I help people develop a healthy relationship with their body through food, movement, and lifestyle practices. And I work one-on-one with clients. I'm a mentor and self-healing master. And I have so much passion about this because learning how to have a relationship with my body is what truly set me on the path that I'm on now. And every direction that I turn, my life is just kind of exploding. So I love people teaching people this so I can help them watch their life explode as well.
So 2 questions for you. is for those who don't know you, haven't met you,
Mhm.
where did it start? What was the first indicator that something was off?
I got really sick, really, really sick. I made some decisions and some transitions in my life, and my body and my mind did not know what to do with all of those. And so I was really sick. There were moments, the breaking point for me was when I was out to dinner with friends and I had to make 8 trips to the bathroom. And it was very unpleasant. Those types of bathroom experiences where you're like, I just want to go home. And these kept occurring, it kept happening, it kept getting worse. And that was the breaking point for me. I was only 21 years old and I was like, something has got to change. This cannot be my life forever. So with being having a one line in my human design, like I had to know why, what was going on. And that's what brought me here.
How old were you and how long was the journey before you actually started to feel better again? Because for this audience that's here for chronic pain, illness and disease, things that are showing up, living a misaligned life and not understanding that it shows up in their body, I think we want to get the answer now and don't realize that it is an unraveling path. So I'm curious what you thought, how long it was supposed to take. And then what were the ups and downs? How, what could you tell them about kind of what to expect, even though it's not going to be exactly for them?
Yeah. Quite honestly, whenever I started searching, it was crazy because whenever I got the diagnosis, I thought that was going to fix everything. Like, okay, I got the diagnosis, I know what's happening, and I'm gonna go ahead and everything's fixed. But I'll honestly say that right now is still part of the practice. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and it's still unraveling and it's still unfolding, and there's still more layers. But it is not overnight. It took me 21 years to get where I was. So it's going to take time to get me to where I am now. But it's been a practice of doing it and then not doing it, knowing and then forgetting, and then trying again, messing up, failing, having the same experience over and over and over again until I was like, enough. And I made a new choice. And then the experience would happen again. And I was like, enough. And I would make a new choice. So it's consistent, it's daily, it's discipline, and it's a choice every day to take care of myself in the ways that I know how to take care of myself.
Yeah, that reminds me of, I did a live that's going towards the podcast yesterday, and it was like, it's really not a mystery why the healing doesn't happen or why the weight doesn't come off. It's we stop the habit, we stop the path, and it's almost like we have to feel the misery again, the suffering again, in order to incentivize us. Can anybody relate to that? It's like we do good for a few days, and then if it doesn't happen fast enough, like we just kind of like fall back into it. Anybody in the chat can relate to what we're saying, whether it's weight loss or chronic pain, or like you do the thing you have to do. You go to the doctor, you get the medicine, you clean it out, and then thought so. Okay, so I like that you're saying it's a lifelong journey.
Lifelong.
Yeah, and can we get a little personal?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what did your personal, because you were young to be unhealthy at that age. I can relate to your story because my stuff started at a very young age also. To be that young and vibrant, naturally vibrant, what was your living situation like that was creating this that you came to discover?
Yeah, so my living situation, like I had this realization not that long ago. I was put on mood altering medications at a really young age, like 6 or 7. Started with Ritalin. I was very hyperactive, had a lot of energy in my body and a big family, and it was just a lot to tend to. And that's what you did in the 90s. Like you just took medication, you medicated your children. And so I suppressed my emotions, but with medication for all that time. And then at 21, I decided to get off of my medication. And that's whenever my body was like, what? So I was in an environment where I didn't know how to express myself, like the environment of me, not even considering the environment outside of me, but the environment of me was, I didn't know how to express myself and how to feel what I was feeling. So I was raging inside. I hated everything. I was I was like on a path of rampage. And I was feeling that in my body with chronic inflammation. So much inflammation. I was angry, I was bitter, I was resentful. And sometimes I would question, like, what's the point of even being here anymore? Like, to feel like this, like, what's the point? And then whenever I opened up to that and started actually feeling was when my body was like blah. And the diagnosis was fibromyalgia. I had IBS. I would go from IBS to constipation, and I was vomiting after almost every meal, feeling of just like bloat and fullness. So like this feeling of like I'm so hungry, but I'm not going to eat because when I eat this happens, so I'm just not going to eat. And I was deteriorating. Like I wanted to get out of my body so bad. And that's the environment that I'm talking about. Like the environment around me shift and change because I moved from Louisiana to Kentucky, and I was trying to get acclimated to all of that. But just the environment that carries with me, like Monique says, like moving across the country but still having the same problems, like, yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah, can totally relate to that.
Mhm.
And even with the medication, and it's like it's both. So I think if we had the understanding when we're being medicated of like what are the tools that can help with it so that it's like a connected process. I remember a very good friend of mine, and it was actually my doctor's wife, unalived herself. And at the funeral home, he said, because I was seeing him for like 12 years through, if not 20, I don't even remember the years at this point for all of this. And he said, how did you figure this out? Because I also had all the diagnosis and the medications. I was on Xanax, Klonopin, Wellbutrin, Adderall, Loratab, just all the things, right? The concoction. That was my daily everything, something to go up, something to go down. And he says, how did you figure it out? Like, why is she not here anymore? And I said, I couldn't feel, and I had no guidance. I just felt like I was numb and dead. And it's like the medicine was like, hey, your feelings are bad, so we need to cut them off so that you can survive. But it didn't feel like survival. And he said, that's exactly what it does. It's when you can't manage,
Mhm.
it dilutes it. And I'm emotional authority in human design. Caitlin mentioned she's a 1-3 projector. And she was all the expression of not being herself. Everything she listed, the bitterness,
Mhm.
and then not even being recognized for her brilliance, being shut down instead, so that we can get along in the classroom and with the siblings and in the world. So we kids that don't make trouble, kids shouldn't be heard. They should be seen and not heard, not make trouble. And I'm not blaming anybody at all. I'm guilty of it myself with 5 kids. I promise you, I was 19 years old when I started. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I don't know who put me in charge. I was never parented. Why am I in charge of kids? Who did this? So I'm going to let her get into a little bit more about the actual process. Is that what you guys want to hear? Do you want to hear more about her story and how she came out of it? Or do you want to hear the how? Because we've got a presentation for you. And if you don't have any questions, we're going to jump right into that presentation. Just let me know in the chat. I got a yes, but I asked several questions. Thinking, I hate that we have to eat. Oh my God, me too. I'm like, I hate that I have to eat because I hate the weight on my body. I have such a negative relationship with food and my body. The how.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to get right into the presentation, Caitlin. Share. All right, my friend, take it away. We're going to start. Where's yeah. Fuel your body. That's step 1. And then I'm going to move to the slide so that you can explain it.
Yeah. Fuel your body. So yeah, that's me. So when it comes to fueling your body and the society that we live in, right? We're told to eat a certain way. You have to have this many macros, this many micros. You need to follow this diet because you're trying to attain this goal, or simply for the fact that okay, I'm going to eat better. I'm not going to splurge on chips. I'm not going to eat the candy. So you make a promise to yourself to eat healthier. So then you restrict yourself. You're like, no sugar, cutting it all out. No sodas, no whatever it is. You restrict yourself for a period of time and all goes really well. I'm only eating keto. I'm gonna follow that keto diet. You start losing the weight, you feel really, really good, but then you fall off the wagon, right? So people talk about like the 80-20 rule. So it's like 20%. I'm going to fall off the wagon. I'm going to go and eat some chips and have some candy and have some Coke. And then you feel really terrible about yourself and your decision. And then so you choose to eat more of that stuff. And whenever you choose to fall off the wagon, you have the choice the next day, the disciplined choice to, will I stay off the wagon or will I get back on the wagon? Will I beat myself up for falling off the wagon? Or will I take it like a champ and then get back on the wagon? And so that's what makes you feel terrible about yourself. And then you eat more. It's like, well, I already ate the Popeyes fried chicken, so I just as well eat the apple pie. And then the next morning you wake up and you're like, well, I already screwed up, so I'm just going to go ahead and eat the cake, right? And then you're like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. I gained all that weight back. That's enough. And then the cycle starts again. Promise myself I'm going to eat healthier, restrict yourself for a while, fall off the wagon, and then feel absolutely terrible. It's a vicious cycle.
Can anyone relate? Are you in the cycle? Have you been in the cycle? Do you live in the cycle? Gosh, how many diets on average has everyone here tried? I'm like a Weight Watchers lifetime. Remember, I started when I was right after I had gained 61 pounds when I got pregnant at 19. I was never overweight in childhood, like before that. And how many diets? Put in the chat the average number of diets that you have tried.
Four. Yeah, diets never really worked for me. So whenever I learned and discovered this method that I use, I was like, this is perfect. You mean I can change it every season? I can change it as the day goes on? Like, this is fantastic. But the method and the science that I practice teaches that disconnection leads to dis-ease and pain. And disconnection means just being disconnected from your truth, from your essence, from your true expression. And that leads to pain, that leads to imbalances, that leads to dis-ease, which is diagnoses and labels and things like that. And it shows up everywhere. It shows up in your emotions, right? Like, my emotions were suppressed for so long through medication, but still, as a conscious choice, like, I still suppress some of my emotions, and that can lead to disease and pain in the body. It shows up mentally, right? And the choices that you make and the things that you think and the beliefs that you have. It shows up spiritually in the practice that I work with. It's called Ayurveda, and it teaches that disease is the cause of the disconnection from spirit and soul. So you're spiritually disconnected, like you're trying to live in this body disconnected from the fact that it has a soul. And then it shows up as physical pain in the body because these beliefs and things can manifest physically in the body, which you'll learn a lot about tomorrow with Monique. And so it's all interconnected and it's all interweaved, kind of like a mandala or a tapestry. It kind of all just weaves together. And when you start unpacking one, then they all kind of start unpacking. Like, I got off my medication, and then here comes my emotions, here comes my physical, here comes my mental, and then here comes my spiritual. And it was funny, like, it all brought me to my yoga mat, which is where I learned about this ancient science of Ayurveda. So they're all interconnected. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
That's probably the coolest thing about going to yoga teacher training, because we go there thinking we're going to be a yoga teacher. We're going to learn our own practice. That's where I learned about Ayurveda too. And also, Caitlin and I both went to Integrative IIN, which is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, where we learned 100 diet theories. And I tried them all. I was in there because I'm an experimenter, and I felt like I needed to speak from the experience because I was working in weight loss and wellness. Yeah. And so, Caitlin, I don't know if it's going to come up on the slide. Do you know if, like, how these connect to, like, relationships and money and the rest? Can you speak to that personally when your body was out of whack? How was your business? How was your relationship? How did
Yeah,
that
well, I mean, I'm definitely experiencing the business one now as I work with Kim on building my business. So, but how it relates to, what are the four again?
So being disconnected
Yeah,
here and in your body, when your body's not healthy and when you're disconnected from even your soul and your purpose, how does
right.
that show up in your money and your ability to provide for yourself?
Oh yeah, like well, whenever you're not in the belief that you believe that you're sick, you believe that you are helpless, you believe that you're never going to get better, like you are stopping a flow of anything beautiful and abundant coming towards you. So I definitely was at the place of like blocking health, wealth, prosperity, and abundance into my life because I was on the path of doom and gloom. Like I was ready to just like, cut it out. So it's like, why do I want these things coming to me when I don't even want to be here in this body?
Yeah. And I was spending so much time, energy, and effort in fixing myself. Like the money that I was spending on vitamins and supplements and tests and always searching and going from one doctor to the next. I realize now that it was a part of me just figuring it all out, but it was very frustrating at that time. But it did keep me from providing for myself, and doing better. And I
Yeah,
wasn't present in my relationships because I was so broken in my body.
yeah, just helplessness,
Yeah.
helplessness.
Almost a desperateness.
Yeah, yeah. But the way and the how is by building a relationship with your body. So with yesterday with Linda, it was such a great segue into building relationship with others. But I know I am also divorced. I wish I'd have known Linda then to help me out. But I've taken a sabbatical from significant others to really build a relationship with myself to fully understand its communications. And so I've come up with these 4 steps on how to get present with the body whenever it comes to meeting its physical needs and understanding its symptoms and its cues. So I know we use food for a lot of ways other than just nourishment, right? There's a lot of emotional connection, like emotional eaters, So actually, before you even choose to eat, recognize if you're actually hungry, or are you just trying to pacify an emotion, or are you trying to feel something? Because there are signals in your body that communicate hunger. That could show up as a growling stomach or a burning sensation, or some people experience hanger or headaches or things like that. So really recognizing what hunger feels like in your body, and if it actually is physical hunger, or you're looking to feed an emotion. Yeah. And then the next step is to, whenever you feel like you are hungry, is check in with your hydration, because 90% of the time you're just thirsty. And so I always keep like herbal teas or a giant water bottle on hand. And whenever I feel a hunger pain, I drink water first. And if the water can't satisfy what I'm feeling, or I'll drink an herbal tea. And if that's not satisfied, then I will drink more water. And I realize I jumped to the water one, which is the next one. But this one's satiation, like actually recognizing when you're full and when you are still hungry. This is my biggest one that
Me too.
I have to pay such close attention to, because eating for me, and I've always been this way, like it makes me so excited. And I used to dance while I would eat because I love the way food made me feel. And so I want to eat it because it's making me feel good. And I love the way that it tastes. And so I usually ignore the signals of when it's time to stop eating, and I continue to eat more. And then after a while, I'm like, oh my gosh, the bloat, the gas, the indigestion of the belching. Ayurveda teaches that whenever you belch, you're not making room for new food. That's your body telling you that you're full. I was with my family this weekend, and I heard one of my brothers belch, and I wanted to say, like, that means stop. That does not mean finish eating your food. But that's recognizing satiation.
It's not making room for more.
Yeah, no.
This is my hardest one also. I think part of it is we are so checked out and we use food for reasons other than nourishment and nutrition and pleasure, because the pleasure happens at the beginning. Like the pleasure is not like at the end of the tub of the ice cream. It's the beginning. And a couple of things that are starting to help. I'm not there. I haven't mastered this because this is definitely my issue, is recognizing like how I want to eat the fillers first. Like that comes from childhood. right? To add the rice, add the bread, add the fillers so that they can feed more people. And so starting to just eat the parts I like the best first, and then recognizing when I am satisfied, because those are the parts I was like eating to get to. But then my body had to work so hard to digest all that extra food. And that's where we're not optimized, because it's not meant to digest so much. It takes long, it's sluggish. It's like after a barbecue, it's like, oh, it takes forever. And that takes energy, right? Like, can you speak to that? Because I think from what everyone's saying right now, there's so much response to this one thing. What is something that you can help them change the way they see it? Like for me personally, it's like, wait, I don't want to overuse my energy in my body to digest all of this. I can have more later. I just want the good part. And noticing that I was full after 5 or 6 bites, that's been blowing my mind. And then I'm instantly like, oh no, what am I going to do for pleasure then? And I'm like, oh my God, there it is. Not satisfied in life, and I'm using food for satisfaction. And it's actually costing me being confident in what I really want to do because of the weight.
Yeah.
How would you speak to me? Fix me.
Okay, I'll speak to you. I'll speak to also like what we hear in our culture. And it's like, so in the practice that in Ayurveda, you eat dessert first. And they don't call it dessert. It's like you eat sweet first. So if there's anything of the sweet taste that's on your plate, you eat that first within reason. You're not going to eat a tub of ice cream or, 4 pieces of brownies before you eat your dinner, but you allow yourself to have the sweetness first. And for many, many reasons, that's done. Why? But it also leads to like satiation, because sweet is the first taste that you've ever tasted in your entire life of your mother's milk or formula. And so you want that. So whenever you give yourself the sweet taste first, you are completely satiated and satisfied, and you are open to receive the nutrients that is coming in from the rest of the food. So allow yourself to have a couple bites of brownie before your meal, and then eat your meal, but only eat your favorite parts, like Kim was saying, and a few bites of them. Eat a few bites of them and then a few bites more. But I guarantee you, if you allow yourself to have a little tiny bit of what we call dessert, whatever dessert looks like for you, because Ayurveda and what we think here is totally different. So just keep that in mind. But eat the sweet thing first and then eat the rest of your meal. You are going to be satisfied before you even touch your meal to get the nutrients, but you're going to be open to receive all of the nutrients.
That breaks rule number 1. They can't have dessert unless they eat all their food that they don't want.
Exactly.
Anybody else like?
Yeah. So you're creating a relationship with your body. It's just like, oh, of course you want sweet, because that's the first taste that you ever had. So here, have a little bit. But after you have a little bit, now we're going to eat the stuff that's really going to nourish your body. So are you ready? And you get a little bit of dessert, your body's like, yeah, let's do it,
Yeah. As you're talking and I'm hearing like the permission and the way to change some things, I think the first thing that's coming up for me is, where am I not satisfied that I'm really like my mind is struggling with letting go of this food thing? Because I know I'm not hungry. I'm very disappointed because I'm not hungry and how full I'm getting. So now once you have that awareness, which is what we're doing today, it's like, now I have the next problem to solve, which is, where is that lack of satisfaction somewhere else? Anyway, okay, that's just me thinking out loud. So we're going to move on.
Yeah. Well, then I would ask like the next question too. It's like, how much effort are you putting in to prepare your meals? Because relationship starts with how much effort and love goes into preparing your meals.
Well, when the thought is, I wish I didn't have to eat, food is such a problem, I hate what it does to me, then the relationship with cooking is almost feels like imprisonment or some sort of punishment. Whereas I'm a great cook. I love to cook. I love to feed people, but I stopped doing it because I wouldn't stop. And then I had the extra weight. So I just punished everyone.
Yeah. But the next one is thirst. So whenever you are hungry and you're not feeling satisfied, like go drink, go hydrate yourself. And when you are thirsty, you tend to have more cravings. You have dry lips, you have headaches. So always checking in with your thirst, because we are thirsty, very thirsty individuals, more so than we are hungry, right? And then recognize rest. Because a lot of times, I know like nighttime eating, if you are a nighttime snacker, this is a huge one for you because really you're not hungry, you just need to go to bed. But it's like 8 o'clock rolls around and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to get the kids to bed. I have to do the laundry. I have to do this. I have to do this and this and this. So your mind tells you like, I need stimulation. And so you put something in your mouth to get the stimulation of chewing and occupying the mind to tell the mind that you're not tired. We got something to do. And then your mind is no longer tired because it's focused on digesting your food.
Mm.
Late night
Who
snacking, you're really just tired.
who here is a night eater? Like Holly, that was her like freebie, is like not eating after dinner, or does dinner or supper, how you say, in the evening. I drink a lot of water. Me. Yeah, where like you struggle in the evening. I had a client, we did a session a while back, and she's like, the craziest thing happened that I wasn't expecting. I no longer eat at night since we removed those barriers. And she was like, I was totally shocked. It wasn't even what I was working towards.
Mm.
Cookies and herbal tea. My husband used to always have a snack before bed. The only time I eat, because I sleep after every meal. Yeah, that's all right. Are you done here? Does
Yeah, I
anyone
think
have
that's the last
questions
one.
does anyone have questions with the slide so far? Are we all on the same page? Just give me a thumbs up. So it's recognizing hunger, recognizing when you're satisfied, recognizing when you're thirsty, and recognizing when you're sleepy. Sounds simple.
Mhm. So getting present with your body and understand how to build a relationship with it, to understand its cues and to be present with it. So it's self-inquiry. It's like checking in energetically. Like, how is my energy level on a day-to-day basis? Does it ebb and flow? Do I usually feel energized when I wake up, or do I feel dead when I wake up? So really understanding your energy level and how it changes throughout the day and if it changes. So just self-inquiry. And then maybe you wonder like, did I eat right before going to bed, which is means I didn't rest well enough? Is that why I'm waking up really early in the morning? So it's noticing your patterns in your energy shifts energetically. And
I noticed that with like when I overeat, like if I eat more than just the part that's yummy, is my energy is low. But I also noticed that I've been practicing this with like what you're sharing right here, like what we're doing with you, and not eating in the evening whenever I want that filler. And I feel, number one, I wake up more confident. My belly feels better. I feel lighter and more energized upon awakening.
yeah.
Because I used to wake up with regret and resentment and bitterness about not having the self-control and that convincing myself to do it anyway. And I'm noticing through the discipline of not night eating, the energy level. Anyone else notice that your energy level in the morning when you're actually kind of proud of yourself, and you know when your digestion didn't work all night and you were able to sleep better? Mhm. But man, it is a hard habit to break, right?
Mhm.
Especially in this busy, lonely world where it's so busy, yet we feel so disconnected from others because of, you know, just how everything is. I always
Mhm.
enjoyed fasting. Yeah, perfect. All right, next.
And physically, so how does it feel to be in your body? Like I can speak at age 21, it felt terrible to be in my body and I didn't want to. There are some days now where I'm just like, man, I really don't like feeling the way I feel in my body right now. And so self-inquiry, like, what can I do to change that? Because I'm in control. I can make the choices and the decisions. So what do I need to do to change that? Do I need to get to the gym? I need to get on my yoga mat? Do I need to stop eating sugar? And those chips that I ate last night, like, what is it that I need to do?
Mhm. Justin's asking, I may have missed it, but there is a no later. It's so interesting how the mind's like, give me the rule to stop eating after. So I don't know that you did say that. I think we just talked about being aware of if you were tired, if you were hungry, if you
Yeah,
were.
I didn't, but their Ayurveda offers 3 hours. You need 3 hours after every meal for it to be fully digested.
All right, there you go, Justin.
Mentally, so what is your mental awareness and your mental capacity? Do you feel like really brain fogged and unfocused and unclear, or do you feel really clear and focused and organized? What is your mental capability at this moment and every day? So these are some things that you can just like journal on. I think in the workbook there are some places for you to just kind of get familiar with what does that mean? Checking in and building a relationship with my mental awareness, my physical awareness, and my energetic awareness.
Melissa, yeah, 3 hours before bed.
Yeah.
So if your bedtime is 10, then you want to stop at 7. If it's 11, you want to stop at 8. So you guys all have the workbook, right? Mallory can put a link in case you're joining today for the first time. So we have all of this mapped out in the workbook that you can actually use as a workshop. So energetically, physically, mentally, do we have another? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
And then we'll review them.
So this one is super important that we were talking about, like our reasons for eating, like emotionally, what are your emotional trends and patterns? Like, do I usually eat whenever I'm feeling really sad? Do I usually eat whenever I'm feeling stressed? That's me. Do I usually eat whenever, whatever it may be, but check in with your emotions and your trends and your patterns and what triggers you to reach for food.
That's the big one. That's everything. And it's with any diet that any of you have experienced. It's the one thing that we need to focus on, and that is not really taught on. It's such a big deal. And you don't know it until you know it, because that emotional piece is missed from our upbringing, our training, learning about ourselves. Like physically, we go to the doctor, we go to the gym. Mentally, we go to psychiatrists, we go to therapists. And then spiritually, we have religion and gurus and church. Have any of you, let's just take a show of hands here, have any of you experienced in your upbringing the importance of your emotions, of the way that you felt, the way that you were experiencing life, and being encouraged to express? Anybody? Because that is why I found I went through such a huge health, is because that is the piece that was missing. I was a great student and patient and client. I did everything. I took the medicine. I had the surgeries. I did the recovery. I owned a gym to make sure I would go to the gym. I opened a gym. When my kid went to private school, I opened a second location there to make sure I had no excuse. I invested so much in my health. And that's the one thing I wasn't taught. And that's my mission, is to get that full understanding of the emotional piece is missing. And if we got it, then we can have that holistic, that solidity of coming back to ourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you, Caitlin, what was?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll just kind of review this to get to the next one. Energetically, how does your energy feel? Physically, like how does it feel in your physical body? Do you have pain? Are you achy? Does it feel light? Effortless? Movement is effortless. And then mentally, do you have brain fog? Do you have a lot of negativity in your mind? And then emotionally, what are the trends and patterns? Do you get lonely at 8:00 at night? Notice when you're having the 3:00 in the afternoon snack, what's going on energetically and emotionally. All right. Well, the beautiful thing is it's here now. And so we can stop the cycle of not knowing, and we can pass it on. The only reason we're not doing something is because we do not know something. So write down the word KNOW and then put a hyphen between the K and the N and between the O and the W. So we know there's something we don't know. And so the K is the knowledge and the W is the wisdom from the experience. That's the only reason we're not doing better, is because we don't know better. And that's what our mission is, to teach better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So these are things that you can track, and these are the action steps that you can take to get to understanding your energetic, mental, physical, and emotional awareness. And so track your hygiene and your self-care practices. Like in my journal, these are the things that I journal about every day, because if I wake up and I feel off or something's going on in my energy, my emotion, my physical or my mental, I go back to what I've tracked and I will see like, and I'll be honest, like there's some recently some days where I have not been waking up in my normal time doing my self-care practices, and it affected my business. Like I wasn't as motivated in my business because I wasn't as motivated and focused on my self-care. So track your hygiene and your self-care practices. List all of the ways that you have tended to yourself in your self-care ways.
And this is a lot of what we do in Self-Healing Masters. So Caitlin is one of the mentors there. So she does a coaching call every single week. And then she has a layout of the practices that you want to start integrating in your life. It's not going to be an overnight success. You might start with one practice and then move to the next, but then you come to those calls for support. You come to celebrate yourself and where you are. So this is the plug-in for Self-Healing Masters. If you want to change your lifestyle, get into a community that's going to support those changes so that you have a place to practice being this new version of yourself. So, because the hygiene and self-care practices are a huge part of Ayurveda. It's the part that most people think they can't do it because they see it as overwhelming. But the way she has simplified this, and she's teaching it to the common folk, to the Cajuns, the way she has broken down. And that's because of her upbringing and her struggle of embodying this kind of practice, that she's really mastered a simple approach to bringing it into your life. Have any of you tried like to just live a yoga life? Like you go from partying at the Mexican restaurant to being a yogi, not drinking alcohol, not eating, and then you're like a vegan, and then you go to all these meditation practices, and then you go. So what she's done is she's bridging those two. It doesn't work. I tried it too.
And these self-care practices and these movement practices, like if you think about them as this is just your body's natural way of detoxing, and I'm just helping it and I'm supporting it because it's got a lot of stuff it needs to detox and naturally take away. Like your body naturally does its own thing. It naturally can heal itself. But these hygiene and these self-care practices are just ways to help that move along. And then movement as well. So record your daily movement, record your daily exercise. Did you get on your yoga mat? Did you go to the gym? Did you go for your run? And there's some days that I look back and I'm like, wow, I did not move at all today. You know, that's my problem. So movement is very important for me. So move. How did you move? Did you move? Did you not move? Are you neglecting your movement? Your intake of food and water, like this one is huge and game changer for understanding your body's symptoms connected with food and using food as medicine. Write down everything that you eat, how much water that you're drinking, everything. Like your meals, I had toast and eggs and blueberries and whatever it is, and write it down. And then the next one is personal growth. Keep a note of your accomplishments and your transformations. That could be I lost 10 pounds or I gained 5 pounds, whatever you're trying to do. Or I used to have to blow my nose every morning and now I don't have to. Or I used to not have a poop every morning and now I do, right?
Without coffee. I remember I celebrated that and I said it to you. I was like, not even drinking coffee. And I'm not against coffee, by the way. I'm a coffee lover. But I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like how many things that we use in our day-to-day life to support our natural detox processes is amazing. So your personal growth, keep notes of accomplishments.
Oops. All right. So everybody's got this. So Caitlin has created a habit tracker. This is something that she does in Self-Healing Masters. So when you're coming to the calls and you're having issues like, okay, did you do this? Because if you have this all written down, then we can investigate and we can see what's off. But if you are not keeping data, if you're not factuating and you don't have that space between emotion, feelings, and facts, you're going to stay in the same position you're in. This is the simplicity that is so hard for us, is we have to keep data. We have to go back and look at what worked and what didn't work. It's the way the brain needs to see it. Mm-hmm. Could you put the screen up before this one for a second? Yes. This one? You want to take a screenshot? You guys can take screenshots. It should be in your workbooks too.
Like data and habit tracking, that's the way that you build a relationship. That's how you build a relationship with your children, right? Whenever the baby's born, like you're attuning to their needs. So this is attuning to your own needs.
The problem for me personally, and I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, is it felt like dieting. So when I was in Weight Watchers, I would go with my little card and I would shop for hours and I'd write the points and keep track. And so when I started the tracking, I was like, I don't want to diet anymore. I don't want to keep macros and micros. And because that was my mindset of this is a diet, I had to really clean that up. Can you speak to that, Caitlin? Because a lot of people will resist tracking because of their past experiences.
Yeah.
Limited. and
Yeah,
controlled.
I can relate to that because I kind of felt like when I want to work with my practitioner, I'm like, you want me to write everything down? Like that's just crazy. And she's like, but that is she did say like that's how you build the relationship. Like you did it for your I didn't have a child, but when moms do it for their children, like they had a bottle at this time, they had a poop at this time, they were fussy at this time, they did this at this time. Like that's how you understand behavior. And it's like if you are in a place where you want to grow, you want to discover, you want to learn, then self inquire. Like these are the things that I'm doing. Why am I doing them? But if you don't want to change your behavior, you don't want to change your ways, then you don't have to. But it really helps with understanding and building a relationship with yourself and giving you what you need because that's your job here in this and on this planet is to nurture yourself first.
Well, and when you go to the doctor, that's the first thing they ask you. What's going on? What are the symptoms? What have you tried? How long is it going on? Like it's not like odd.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just self-assessing
Mhm.
and taking personal responsibility for our health.
Yeah. And
But
that probably comes from the belief and the mindset of taking care of myself, spending so much time and effort on tracking my habits. Like, that's selfish. I don't need to know about myself. Or I know everything I need to know about myself.
goes back to are you willing to let go of what you know to know
Mhm.
something else? Because what you know is going to get you exactly where you are right now. But knowing something else is going to get you somewhere else. And if I could like do this slide and explain this, it talks about the 7-year processes, how we're constantly reiterating new identities of ourselves and recreating. All right, we're getting to the end of this. We obviously cannot do this in 25 minutes. So there's that. Here are the results.
So
I'll
the
let you
result,
speak.
so if you track your habits, like if you just do the habit tracking, like you're gonna get so much self-awareness, which is so empowering and which brings interconnectedness. So it's gonna connect your body and your soul, your mind and your soul, and then flexibility. Like I can ebb and flow, I can change because I am disciplined and I trust myself to get back on track because I am aware of my habits. I am aware of my patterns. I am in control of them. And then vitality. Vitality is being in a state of aliveness and being vibrant. Um, and so you'll get all of those things by just learning your habits.
Goes back to I just want to die well. I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys, but I don't want to die restricted and suffering and controlled by something outside of myself. We told your success story at the beginning, but if
Yeah.
anyone has questions for Caitlin about specifically about her journey, and otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and we're going to move into the VIP Q&A, where you're going to be able to come on and talk to the panel and Caitlin, her experience, and ask anything like personally. That's why we wanted to do the VIP upgrade. We knew there wouldn't be enough time to cover everything on these calls. It was to give you a foundation. Let me just ask you, are you satisfied? Did you get some value from today? Did you hear something that is helpful? Do you feel like you got your value worth the free? Okay. So, and you can still upgrade to the VIP. Mallory can put the link in there and you can come and ask her questions. It's $47. You get the recordings from every day and the VIP recordings with the Q&As. It's just that we wanted people to have the option if they wanted to spend a couple of hours or if they just wanted to do it quick. Caitlin is my mentor. Yes, free value. Good. Okay, perfect. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. So for your homework, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being in the dirt or 4 being elevated, what is your usual energy level? Like start there. Like how do you usually wake up? How do you go to bed feeling? And then what would you like to see change in your health? What are some biggest things that you are struggling with in your health, your goals that you want to see change? And then what is your biggest complaint about your body? It could be physical, it could be mental or emotional, or what is your biggest complaint about your body?
This is in the workbook, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, what is the energy level between 1 and 4 for most people? Man, mine was, let me tell you how I felt, and you can tell me what number it was. It felt like I had chest weight, hip waders on, and I was walking through a crawfish lake. Like I had these big old boots up to my hips or chest. And I was like and my boots were like sucked into the mud for me to walk. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, fibromyalgia. I just could not go. I couldn't get my energy amped up. How would you like to get it to a 4? Because that's what we want to invite you to. It's really hard to just like get the information and go do it yourself. That is why we created Self-Healing Masters, for you to have a community where you can get weekly coach calls. You get a call with Caitlin, with Monique, with me, with Linda. We hit all topics. And so you determine the path and where you want to go first. And you just dial in until that area clears up, and you'll notice the other areas improve also. Can you explain how Self-Healing Masters works? Are there different topics each week? Yep, we could talk about that. Caitlin, you want to share your story about Self-Healing Masters? So every coach does their own call. So Monique, Caitlin, me, Linda, you get time with us, and we're still a small group. We're just at 100 people. And so you really get private coaching every single week at this point. It's a great time to jump in. Caitlin, do you want to share your experience? Because you've been in for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy Self-Healing Masters because I almost feel like, I mean, we live in a world where we need like, instant help. And that's what Self-Healing Masters for me was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a funk. I don't know how to get out of this. Help. And you post a question or anything in the group, and you get coaching like within 5 to 10 minutes from one of the mentors. Or if you tag someone in particular, like they'll be with you super soon. And then just all of the topics that are there, because I mean, it shows up in all avenues. Like you can pick one problem, but it's going to show up everywhere. And so going to the calls or reaching out to the mentors there whenever there's something going on, it's such a supportive space to be on a healing journey, because it reminds you that you're not alone. Even though you're doing it yourself, you're not alone.
Well, and it's like the topics stay the same. So we're cohesive. So no matter what, you'll see the resemblance between Caitlin and I, like the punchline approach, the process, they're all trained in that. They know exactly how to guide you back. You get courses. So each one has their own course. And then when you sign up, you get 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the topic, with your mentor. So if you came here through Caitlin and you sign up through Caitlin, for the first 4 to 6 weeks, it's just a small group with you and her, and you're working through the foundation before you come into like having to go into the bigger group. You can come to those calls, of course, you're invited to everything, but the way that we have it, we're setting it up is it's very specific to the problem. So if you listened yesterday and you're like, I really need help with my relationship, and Linda sent you here, and then you sign up with Linda, then she will do those first 4 to 6 calls on relationship, and you get a one-on-one call with them. That's a bonus right now. So if you sign up, you can be like, it's $990 for the year. And you can do a payment plan of $97 a month. You get the foundational course with your mentor. You get a one-on-one call with your mentor. And then they map out your path of which calls to go to, what homework to do, where to go into the portal. You get the meditation library. You get lots of courses that we've done over time. We discuss human design and gene keys if you're into that. And I am the master of the money mindset. I really like to work on money mindset and getting yourself established as the business owner. Because if you want to grow your business, you got to grow yourself. It starts with you as the person. You can't grow a business if you haven't optimized yourself. So did that answer your question about Self-Healing Masters? Well, Mallory just put the link, so you can put it in there. Caitlin is Caitlin, Monique. Yeah, that's how it's working right now. And we're bringing in community calls and breakthrough sessions. So breakthrough sessions is going to look like I come on, you apply, and you're like, I want a breakthrough session. And it's the deep work. And we'll take one person, and that call might last 90 minutes. And we are just going to unravel and unpack the layers, what's going on in your belief system. And so we can start identifying. And the beautiful part is, if you're working with any of these coaches and you're in Self-Healing Masters, you're a member, you get 40% off of their one-on-one coaching. You get 40% off of their one-on-one coaching. Did y'all hear that? Like, as a member of Self-Healing Masters, you get a 40% discount on private coaching. That's right there is the reason to do it. That's my favorite thing to talk about, because private coaching is expensive, and that's because time is limited. Group coaching, you can take care of more people, but one-on-one, Caitlin, how many, like 10 max, right? That's like it. Like these guys are limited in how much time they can do one-on-one. That's why they bring their clients into Self-Healing Masters, so they can get support. And then you can buy a one-off package if you're just in a bind and you don't want to do an extensive. You're just like, hey, I need help this week. You grab a one-on-one with any of the coaches. You could do a 6-week or you can do a 12-week. So, but I love the fact that you can get a 40% discount just by being a member. It's worth it. Plus you get to come to our live events. What else do we have? We've got workbooks, meditation libraries, challenges. You get to come to these events that we do and put on. You get the replays of all of these events that we do. I think it's a sweet deal, but that's me. All right. Do you guys feel satisfied? We're going to go ahead and move into the VIP Q&A. So if you did not upgrade, we love you. You will get the replay of this. Please hop off. And if you are VIP, then just remain on. I'm going to kill this recording. Let's see.